Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. I want to say thanks and hi to the new subscribers. Had a few in the past week, so welcome. Little quick video here. I've got this motor came in from one of the remote camps around here. So in other words, this was flown into town on a bush plane and brought to me. I've had this engine many times, and the owner of it says it seems like it's running on one cylinder. Well, I did a spark check, good strong spark, and after I did that, I just gave it a look over, and I had good spark. I checked the actual plugs when I pulled them out. It looked like he put new ones in. They were gapped at about 20. Would that make it not fire? It could. So I gapped them. I opened them up to about 30-ish, 33, somewhere around there. Just because the engine's a little wore. It's old. It's early 80s. And when I find that when they get a two-stroke anyway, when they get a little wore like that, by opening up the gap, say from 30 to 35, you get a little longer burn time on your spark there. And because things are wore, the compression ain't like it was when it was brand new. So I've always found that it helps, especially this little motor, the 99, 15, 80s era, low profile 15, 9.9. I've found that, if they're a little bit older and stuff, if you take that gap and open it from say 30 to about 35, it does seem to help them. So anyway, I did that, and then I always, after with the spark check, I put the plugs back in and I ground them to the block, and I check and make sure the spark plug itself is firing. Just because you got spark down to the high tension lead to the end of the spark plug wire and in the cap, it don't always mean that the spark plug's firing. I have over the years had a couple bad spark plugs that just didn't fire. So I checked the actual spark at the electrode on the spark plug. It's fine. So next thing I did was put the plugs back in, wires back on, hooked up my fuel, squeezed the bulb. I wanted to fill fuel going through the fuel lines and through the fuel pump, and then filling up the bowl. You should be able to get about 3 or 4 squeezes there before you get that resistance, and that lets me know I'm pushing gas through the system, filling up the bowl. So that felt good, and I said, well, it's time to try and give it a start. So let's see what I found when I started. That's the little guy in question right there. Little low profile 15. I've worked on this engine several times over the years, mostly cooling issues and so forth. But so they brought it into me, and here's what we got. Let's see. The engine seems to run strong and fine. It's peeing water. Definitely firing on both cylinders. Okay, so that engine seems to be running fine. It's definitely firing on both cylinders. Choke, when I actuate the choke, I see it moving the lever that closes the butterfly. No problem there. If there was something in the air intake or anything like that, it wouldn't run that well. Definitely firing, good. Shift smooth, pumping water nice. So, does that mean there's nothing wrong with this engine? No. There could still be something when it heats up from running wide open, say across a bay or whatever. One of the coils could be shorting out. But what else might it be? And keep in mind, this like I said, was flown in from a remote village. Well, one of the things that I found that goes on out there, if you have to pay charter air freight on a bush plane to get fuel out there, if that fuel gets rained on, a little water in the jug, or if that fuel happens to be old from last season, it costs a lot of money to fly that stuff out charter, and they don't throw it away. They will attempt to use it. So my guess is he either probably had contaminated fuel issue in his fuel, or a bad hose connectors, a tank that's not venting. He said the symptoms was that it wouldn't come up to power, that it was not running on both cylinders. I'm going to say that most probably it's fuel contamination or a bad hose or tank problem. So I'm going to bolt the engine back up, put the hood on and everything, and write him a note and say, check your fuel, check your hose, use a different hose, use a different tank with known good gas, because the engine in my test tank runs fine, starts well, shifts good, P strong. Most likely it's a fuel, hose, tank, combination thereof issue. This little engine seems to run fine. The one thing I will do before I ship it back to him is I'm going to run it for at least 15 minutes at a moderate, in gear, at a moderate speed in my tank, and see if I can get it to do something. If it does file out or something like that, I'll make another video. But right now, my diagnosis of this engine is it runs fine. It just needs probably a better fuel delivery system or something, or he was using gas that was watered down, old, contaminated somehow. So sometimes there's no big smoking gun. The spark on my spark checker it jumps a really nice spark. So it's got two hot firing plugs. I can't see a spark issue being a problem unless a coil's heating up and dropping out of cylinder. So I will run it for about 15-20 minutes. So and then once I get this one buttoned up, I'm gonna make a video on a 55 commercial, just like the video I made here about a week ago of a 55 commercial. I'm gonna show you the one that went under the ocean. That the one I sent out, the video I just made about a week ago, was to replace this engine, and it went swimming in the ocean. So luckily the guy knew what to do. He put oil in the cylinders and stuff like that, drained the water out of it, poured fresh water in the cylinders, dumped that out, and then put oil in there. And that's what you do. If they ever go swimming, immediately rinse the cylinders with fresh water, rinse the whole engine, don't worry about the electronics, rinse everything off, get oil and drain that fresh water out, get oil in them cylinders, and then get it somewhere where you can take care of it. But I've already kind of taken this one apart a little bit, but this guy was really needing this engine, so I jumped ahead of it and got on this one so I can get it back out to him, because he's got clients out there right now. So, but this one here I'll make a video of and show you what I find and what I found so far. So thanks for watching.